Check out the snow outside. That, my friends, is a white Christmas. Yeah, coming to you today, live from Scotland, sunny Scotland. This is Boxing Day. So this is Mr. Luke Richard John Allen, 25 years old, on Boxing Day, sitting here, couple of whiskies down, fairly tipsy. Going to be doing my bottom 5 movies of the year. At number 5. Robin Hood. It's one of these films that was it's 2.5 hours long. Doesn't need to be 2.5 hours long. It's 2.5 hours long because apparently movies of this ilk are supposed to be that long. If you're going to tell a Robin Hood story, a story that's been told numerous times with Errol Flynn, Kevin Costner, and with animated foxes. You've got to try and do something different. I mean, the original idea to have it as called Nottingham, where it was going to be about, the Sheriff of Nottingham. It was going to be told from his perspective as he was a good guy. Now that was a pretty cool idea. All round, it's just not a very good film. I was never engaged during the whole thing. It doesn't stand on any new ground and kind of just begs for purpose, really. It doesn't have a purpose. And then by the end of it, at the end battle, when Maid Marian rocks up with her little thieving cherubs, a subplot of which is never explained. If it wasn't for my rule that I don't walk out of the cinema, I would have walked out at that point, even though it was about 15 minutes towards the end. But anyway, I digress. Not a very good film, and is number 5 on my bottom 5 of the year. Number 4. Now, I'm surprised that Resident Evil Afterlife hasn't been, wasn't higher on my list. I was expecting it to be the worst movie ever made, and when it turned out not to be the worst movie ever made, I was a bit surprised. It wasn't very good. it's still shite. They make a big deal at the beginning that Mila Jovovich as Alice has the T-virus taken out of her, but yet literally immediately after that happens, she plows 500 miles an hour into the side of a fucking mountain, and still manages to come out of it just going, oh, sure, geez, I better go going, The physics in it is completely shitty. She tells everyone to get in a lift on one bit, and then what she does is, rather than shooting the lift cables to make the lift full, she chucks a load of C4 on the top. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, that would vaporise everybody in the lift. Not only that, despite the fact that the lift falls 20 stories into water, the water wouldn't cushion your fall as much as it makes out in the movie. In fact, at that height, it would be just as deadly as crashing into the floor, so everyone would vaporise then as well. The action scenes are all done in slow motion. That's so slow that it's just like you're literally sitting there looking at your watch going, okay, this is one of the most boring action scenes I've ever seen. Resident Evil Afterlife is at number 4 in my worst of the year. Number 3. Just why would Perseus go on this quest to get the head of Medusa to stop the Kraken when he has no emotional investment in whatever the hell her name is that's getting sacrificed? I can't remember. I don't give a toss, to be fair. He's only doing it out of personal revenge, which in my mind just makes him a snivelling little git, really. It's deathly boring in the middle. It just really was a terrible film all round. There was nothing in it. I just didn't enjoy it at all. The effects were outdated by about 10 years. Everything about it is just a poor effort. But not as much of a poor effort as it is with our number 2 entry, which is From Paris with Love. The first movie I saw this year, I hated every single minute of it. Generic doesn't even come close to how to literally every character motivation, every single plot thread. It's also a bit nonsensical. Why would, in any logistical mind, why would anybody send a Secret Service agent who is just every bit as brash, obnoxious, irritating, and just terrible as John Travolta's character? Talk about like collateral damage and stuff. Does drugs on the whim, and their excuse is, he may be unorthodox, but at least he gets the job done. I'm sorry, that kind of went out. That was dated back in the 80s. Even people back in the 80s watching shitty 80s action movies were sitting there going, oh god, they're using that cliche again. And then they bring it up in this one. Pierre Morel, I say it in an Italian accent, the guy's actually French, who did Taken, which isn't a very good movie either. He's not, he's not a very good director. Therefore, John Travolta's performance isn't very good. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers I've never liked, and his American accent is just abysmal, absolutely abysmal. It's one of the most forced American accents I've ever heard. The funny thing is you know that he starts off his career as a model because even right at the end, after everything that's happened, he's had to shoot his long-term girlfriend in the head for reasons I won't explain because it's just too stupid. And he rocks up at the end to say goodbye to to John Travolta's character, and he rocks up wearing this designer coat, this V-neck that comes down to his belly button, and then he pulls out this fucking great Desert Eagle that's about the size of his head. I just couldn't stop laughing, and the only thing keeping me in that seat was the fact that I spent £8.50 buying my fucking ticket. Pierre Morel, no, 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 no. Go with Uwe Boll and go with friggin' Michael Bay and all these other people that can't make movies. I will pay money to make an Escape from New York type prison where all these directors like you guys need to go. The main plot involves this major twist where Jonathan Rhys-Meyers' girlfriend turns out to be an undercover terrorist. And they don't explain why she's a bad guy very, very well, apart from the fact that 10 years ago I got to make Colleen. Fuck off. Anyway, I digress. From Paris with Love is just not a very good film. In fact, I've forgotten most of it. It was that bad. Okay, rant over. Okay, to cap up. Number 5, Robin Hood. Number 4, Resident Evil Afterlife. Number 3, Clash of the Titans. Number 2, From Paris with Love. Number 1, The Big Daddy, the worst movie of 2010, flat out, is Skyline. Now, this is unsurprising considering it's directed by the brothers Strauss, not the Strauss brothers, but the brothers Strauss, who directed Alien vs Predator Requiem, which is one of my most hated movies of all time. That is, it's probably actually my most hated movie of all time. I absolutely hate it. So I don't know what I was expecting with Skyline. I was maybe expecting something a bit better. One thing that can be said about Skyline is that for a $10 million budgeted movie, it's got, really decent visual effects. The only problem is that that's the only good thing going for the movie. Pacing, plotting, dialogue, direction, literally any kind of semblance of making a movie fairly decent is just not present at all. You know you're in trouble when the most recognisable person in your cast is Turk from Scrubs and he dies about 45 minutes into the movie anyway. And they obviously cover up for the fact that they've got a micro budget by setting the majority of the movie in an apartment block when the blinds are closed. In better hands, it could have been like the anti-Independence Day. It could have been a movie that was effectively psychological drama about these people that were, hiding away from these aliens that are taking people at a whim. It could be a slow burning pot boiler of a suspense science fiction action movie type thing. In the hands of the brothers Strauss, it's you can tell it's just been used as a plot device due to budget constraints. The most offensive thing in the whole film in terms of insulting one's intelligence is the fact that they detonate a nuclear weapon some 3 or 4 miles away to destroy a mothership, and the fact that it's a nuclear weapon, no one seems to worry about the fallout. In fact, the fact that a nuclear weapon has been detonated is only briefly mentioned in passing shortly afterwards. I mean, I'm not a science person, I just know that being that close to a nuclear weapon is going to be really, really bad. You're going to have issues, there's going to be fallout, you're going to have radioactive waste flowing in your direction, and even if the wind is going in the opposite direction, you're still going to have problems because it will still float your way. It's not a minor inconvenience, but apparently it is in the world of the brothers Strauss. Coupled with the fact that Skyline has one of the most ridiculous endings in cinematic history. The main plot point of the film is that the aliens are harvesting people's brains. They never explain this. But right at the end, the main character is harvested for his brain. He's put in this kind of brute-like avatar thing. But because he's very strong-willed, he's got a very strong-willed brain, apparently, he manages to take over the avatar and is able to defend his pregnant girlfriend, who is in the same spaceship with him. It finishes with him kind of like being prepared to do battle with other aliens on this spaceship to defend his girlfriend, but as an alien. It's like, yeah! That is the closest I've come to ever. I've never walked out of a movie before in my life, but that is actually the closest, even more so than Alien vs Predator Requiem. But I stuck with it till the end, and boy, I wish I'd walked out when I had. Dialogue, acting, pacing, bog standard direction, character motivations, plot motivations, scientific inaccuracies. Everything about it is just completely inept. It stumbles at every single conceivable level in how to make a decent movie. if you let's put it this way: if you haven't seen Skyline, you're not missing out on much. Okay, rant over. I'll be back in about a week or so to do my top 10 movies of the year, top 10 best movies of the year, and I'll see you all then. Ciao, burgers.
Say live and let die.